A very good evening and welcome to Nationwide on the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Ifoma Ojinta. There are indications that following the xenophobic attacks against Nigerians in South Africa, the Nigerian High Commissioner to South Africa has been recalled for consultations. Impeccable sources in the presidency also confirmed the stepping down of its participation at the World Economic Forum being hosted by South Africa. Similarly, the Nigerian government is insisting on full compensation for losses suffered by Nigerians and Nigerian businesses in South Africa. President Muhammadu Buhari had Wednesday morning held a strategic engagement with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyeama following renewed hostilities against the nation's interest in South Africa. Meanwhile, following the reported cases of attempts by some individuals to attack South African interests in parts of the country, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has appealed to Nigerians not to engage in any reprisal against the South Africans and their investments in Nigeria. The Vice President says government is already taking actions at the highest level to see to an end the xenophobic attacks and ensure that the perpetrators are punished.
That we must, everyone is deeply hurt and offended by what took place in South Africa, the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, but we must be calm, we must be patient, and I think we must also realize that two wrongs do not make a right. One is the death of so many Nigerians is regrettable, and I express the sincere condolences of the government and many Nigerians to the families who have lost their loved ones. But we must be very careful, especially in Nigeria. The reports we're hearing of attacks or attempted attacks on MTN or ShopRite will be shooting ourselves in the foot. MTN is a publicly quoted company in Nigeria today. Most of its shareholders, many of its shareholders are Nigerians. ShopRite, the malls, most of the shops are owned by Nigerians. So if those businesses are hurt in any way, we'll be hurting ourselves. We'll be hurting ourselves as Nigerians. So what I really want to call for calm and let us take a peaceful approach to this. The government has already in very strong terms expressed our outrage to the South African government, and the President has also decided that an envoy will be going over to South Africa to express Nigeria's complete objection and Nigeria's the fact that we're so offended by what has happened. So that I think will suffice, for now. But we must be careful not to hurt ourselves by attacking businesses that we think are South African. Practically all of those businesses, MTN, look at the number of people that are employed, they're all Nigerians. Same as ShopRite, shops are owned, many of the shops in the malls are owned by Nigerians. So I think we should really be calm and allow peace to reign. Two wrongs do not make a right. Let's consolidate on what we have in Nigeria and continue to ensure that we do not allow what has happened in South Africa to repeat itself. And this is the point that has been made very clearly to the South African government.
Similarly, the FCT Minister, Mohammed Musa Bello, has called on residents of the Federal Capital Territory, especially students and youths, not to carry out retaliatory attacks on South African nationals and business interests in the FCT over the recent xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in that country. A statement by Chief Press Secretary to the Minister, Anthony Ogunleye, states that the federal government was already exploring diplomatic channels to address the issue, stressing that residents should allow those efforts to result. He says South African businesses in the FCT are in partnership with Nigerian investors and are contributing to the economic development of the territory. Attacking or vandalizing them will ultimately have negative economic consequences. He further assured South African nationals and business interests in the FCT of their safety, adding that it was the pleasure of the FCT administration to have them living and working in the Federal Capital Territory, while appealing to FCT residents to remain calm and go about their lawful activities. He warned that law enforcement agencies have been mobilized to forestall any breakdown of law and order, and that anybody instigating or participating in any acts of violence or vandalism will face the wrath of the law. Meanwhile, the federal government has advised Nigerians in South Africa to avoid high-risk and volatile areas in South Africa following renewed xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals until the situation is brought under control. A statement by Ferdinand Nwunye, spokesperson of the Foreign Affairs Minister, the federal government explained that the government is seriously concerned with the tension in South Africa and is therefore engaging relevant authorities to ensure safety of Nigerians. The statement commended South African police for arresting perpetrators and also calls for their immediate prosecution. And failure on the part of South African authorities to stem the recurring wave of violence against foreigners in that country has been cited as a major reason for the current state of affairs. Discussant on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria insists that South African citizens are misdirecting their anger towards other nationals, especially Nigerians. Ekemini Williams has details.
Vast inequality, joblessness and economic exclusion in South Africa have precipitated violence and looting suffered by foreigners, especially Nigerians, who South African citizens blame for their plight. Discussants describe this unrest as internal terrorism, directly linked to a deficient school curriculum devoid of historical evidence of how African nations, especially Nigeria, assisted the country.
The South African citizens are not directing their anger to their appropriate quarters.
The South African government is largely responsible and has been complicit in what is going on in Southern Africa.
The ghost of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo is haunting all of us across the continent. And I will paraphrase him when he said thus: the children that you failed to educate will haunt or destroy your future.
They advised Nigerian government to reach out to global institutions, insisting that the special envoy to President Cyril Ramaphosa should make decisive and categorical demands.
Look, we have huge investment, South African investment in Nigeria. And if our citizens are being killed, their families are being killed, and their safety compromised, there will be consequences. That has to be clearly stated before the South African authorities.
They described these incessant attacks as a sore point in South Africa's relations with nations in Africa. In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
To other news now. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will be participating in the 2019 African Green Revolution Forum, AGRF, with the theme, Grow Digital, leveraging digital transformation to drive sustainable food systems in Africa in Accra, Ghana. The forum, which opened on the 3rd of September, will be taking place through the 6th of September 2019 at the Accra International Conference Center. The AGRF presents a premier platform for African and global leaders from both the public and private sectors to advance policies, programs and investments, as well as harnessing agriculture in ensuring food security, increasing income and promoting economy. In a bid to improve the country's budgetary system to engender sustainable economic growth through adequate fiscal policies, the National Assembly has initiated a dialogue session on national budget reform to chart a roadmap towards effective planning and implementation of the 2020 Appropriation Bill. Kenneth Nanim reports.
The 9th National Assembly had resumed with a commitment to ensuring reforms of key sectors of the economy. Now, the attention is on the country's budgetary system. Heads of government agencies, parastatals, and experts in relevant sectors at this budget system reform roundtable are brainstorming, putting in perspective issues bordering on revenue mobilization, allocation, and expenditure plans, ensuring that the budget system is returned to the January to December fiscal year calendar with the year 2020 in focus.
The January to December calendar, is achievable, and then to bring every stakeholder on board to ensure that the observed lapses of the past are addressed with the new process.
These Nigerians entrusted with this all-important assignment are also collating ideas and views on how the country's annual budget could be adequately funded, seamlessly implemented and properly monitored through improved citizens' participation.
Laws guiding public finance management, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and so on, including the Public Finance Management Control Act 1958, and the need for review of all these relevant laws have been discussed.
There were suggestions about what can be done to increase revenue. There were suggestions about what can be done to reduce expenditure.
With all the views aggregated here, it is believed that the 2020 Appropriations Bill will record great improvement in terms of planning and implementation, which will translate to more job creation, foreign direct investment, and economic stability in line with developmental policies of the federal government. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Governor Sanwo-Olu speaks on child mortality. Let's join Jennifer in Lagos for more on these and other stories trending over there.
Thank you, Forma, and welcome to Lagos. Now, sound content and proper budgeting of films are prerequisites to give the Nigerian film industry more international recognition. These were the submissions of filmmakers and producers at the Nigerian International Film Summit in Lagos. Imole Ayo Tokede reports that the event attracted film delegates from different African countries.
In recent times, Nollywood seems to be the bandwagon of collaborations between domestic production outfits and international partnerships in an attempt to boost return on investment.
Bunk B. That's not right? It means calm down.
These partnerships have proven to be more successful over time due to shared risks, a large pool of expertise and ideas. This summit thereby seeks to boost local and global promotion of film business with Nigeria. Events which brought together top and international film and TV industry executives is aimed at enhancing business-driven conversations and meetings on the opportunities, possibilities and challenges revolving around the film business in Nigeria.
Most filmmakers also do not watch what's going on in cinemas. They don't have an understanding of what goes on with the audience, how the audience reacts.
It would be good to get finances or investors who are a bit more patient, and then we can now do film development the way it should really be done.
Film delegates from Kenya are hopeful of co-producing with Nigeria to forge more intimate ties.
There are lots of Nigerians in Nairobi, and there are lots of Kenyans in Lagos. So why aren't we just telling each other stories?
The movie industry is moving faster than anybody can imagine. simply because of the ease of doing business policy of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Participants believe that after this event, film producers in African continent will begin to see their production as investments rather than a money-spinning venture. In Lagos, Imole Ayotokide, NTA News.
And to health. In a bid to reduce avoidable disabilities, maternal and child mobility to the barest minimum across Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has inaugurated a maternal and child center in Etiosa, Lagos. Nosa Usula has details.
Nigeria accounts for 14% of the global maternal mortality rate. According to a report by the World Health Organization, the country loses over 2,000 under 5-year-olds and over 100 women of childbearing age daily, which experts say is avoidable. Governor Sanwo-Olu, who reassured of his administration's commitment to a vibrant health sector, said that his administration had completed the maternal and child center in Etiosa as part of efforts to increase access of residents to maternal and child health services.
I'm excited to note that this ultra-modern facility will go a long way in providing access to quality health care for our mother and their newborn babies and children, and ultimately provide impact for maternal and under 5 mobility and mortality rates in Etiosa and its environs.
Meanwhile, wife of the governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, assured residents that the state government would reduce maternal and child mortality through strategic interventions and policies.
I fully understand and appreciate the positives we stand to gain from all important medical facilities. Anything we do for our children today, as I always say, will definitely play a key role in the formation of their adults' formation to become whatever they want to become in future.
The governor also inaugurated a block of 14 classrooms at the Etiosa local government area. In Lagos, Nosa Usula, NTA News.
That's a contribution from Lagos. Back to Ifoma in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're watching Nationwide. We have more reports after the break. Stay with us.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Prince, did you hear that?
Of course I did. That is village master tune.
So, Auntie Amebo was not gossiping then?
Village master is celebrating 50 years.
50? Already? This is not a joke.
It is a national celebration. NTA and Village master family are commemorating 50 years.
Hey, Prince, tell me, when is our golden jubilee?
It is from the 8th to 11th of October 2019.
I have to go and get ready. It's time to party.
Women. But we, men, will be there too.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Welcome back. Senator Doye Diri, representing Bayelsa Central Senatorial District in the Nigerian Senate, has emerged winner of the PDP primary to fly the party's flag in the November 16th governorship elections. Senator Diri scored 561 votes to beat 20 other aspirants. Chief Undutimi Alaibe came second with 365 votes. Chairman of the Electoral Committee and Governor of Taraba State, Governor Darius Dixon Ishaku, made the declaration at the Gabriel Okara Cultural Center, where the primary was held in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Meanwhile, the primaries of the All Progressives Congress is holding in various local government areas of Bayelsa State. However, action is yet to commence in most of the locations visited by NTA News. From Brass local government area, Baratua Pre-Aware reports that the venue for the primary is deserted as stakeholders are said to be in a meeting. Feelers indicates that the election committee members are in a hotel, security beefed up, and the road cordoned off. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party primaries in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, was halted due to sporadic shooting by some unknown gunmen. The incident took place in the early hours of this morning, which left several people injured. Madaki Aliu reports.
This is the conference stadium where delegates converge for the accreditation and voting of their candidates for the People's Democratic Party primary. The party's electoral committee, headed by the governor of Adamawa State, Amadu Fintiri, had accredited 2,388 out of 2,880 delegates expected, as well as the aspirants. The process went on smoothly with 13 aspirants, as well as delegates, commending the officials and their intention to support whoever emerges as the party's flag bearer. However, the rhythm changed suddenly at about almost 2 o'clock in the morning while counting was going on, when sporadic shooting by unknown gunmen took over, leaving the crowd struggling for safety. As a result, several persons sustained injuries, while ballot papers and other electoral materials were destroyed in the incident. From Lokoja, Madachaliu, NTA News.
Akwa Ibom State Police Command says a total of 137 suspects have been arrested within the second quarter of 2019 for various criminalities. State Commissioner of Police Zaki Ahmed made this known while briefing newsmen on the achievements of the State Command. Jenny Bassi reports.
The 137 suspects were arrested for offences such as murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, defilement, child stealing, cultism, among others. The State Commissioner of Police, Zaki Ahmed, said the arrest was made possible through a tip-off by the operatives of Anti-Cultism Squad, which led to the recovery of 13 transformers belonging to the Akwa Ibom State government. He revealed that the command also raided a hideout in Ikono local government area and cracked down on a child theft syndicate who forcefully broke into a home of one Hannah Ekong and abducted her 2 children.
Operatives of the command, while
on vehicular patrol along Ekot-Epene-Umahi Road accosted when in Wogu Moses, who dressed with police uniform as an assistant superintendent of police and embarked on illegal escort.
The police boss, while pledging to fight crime to a standstill in the state, says the command will not tolerate any unwholesome behavior from any group or individual that will jeopardize the peace of the state. In Uyo, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
Governor Wike hosts German Foundation. The Barbary has more on these and other stories making the rounds in Port Harcourt.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. Rivers State government has solicited the support of the federal government in the fight against oil bunkering and theft. The governor made the call during a courtesy visit by Konrad Adenauer German Foundation, led by its country representative, Dr. Valdemar Krieg, at Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogediekwe reports.
The delegation from the Konrad Adenauer German Foundation were in Government House to discuss ways of advancing the economic development of the state and the country. Governor Wike, in his address, stated oil bunkering and theft have continued to worsen. Governor also noted that the security framework of the state is negatively affected by oil majors' patronage to court groups for surveillance jobs, and called for the collaboration with the German Foundation on the fight against insecurity.
We believe that if the federal government comes out very strong to partner with the states, find out that we'll be able to solve such problems. Also, the problem of politicizing security.
Country representative Konrad Adenauer German Foundation said the foundation has been spearheading the development of Nigeria since 2001, especially in the areas of capacity building for parliamentarians and security agencies.
Here in the Niger Delta and in River State, they are interested in the oil production and the issues and challenges of this state to continue its development.
Dr. Krieg noted the foundation had already met with chief security officers and would be meeting with management of some multinational companies. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
The flag officer commanding Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral David Adeniro, has flagged off the 2019 exercise Yangami with assurance to the business community of Nigerian Navy's commitment to ensuring safety of investment and human resources within the nation's territorial waters. Kingsley Amadi reports that the exercise will have 14 ships alongside other side security agencies participating.
The exercise would have NNS Thunder alongside 13 other ships embark on offshore patrol. The objective is to enhance maritime security and safety of the nation's critical national assets within the Eastern Naval Command areas of responsibility. Rear Admiral Adeniro further said this exercise is a strong signal to the criminal elements to stay away from the nation's waterways.
Exercise Yangami will also involve the use of ships and aircraft for intense patrol, reconnaissance and protection of our critical oil and gas terminals located offshore. Some of these are the Agbami, Antan, Usan, Owori oil fields.
In the course of the exercise, participants would enhance their skills in rescue operations, sea navigation, fleet maneuver, man on board, emergency rescue operations, among others. The Nigerian Police, DSS, NSCDC, NIMASA are among sister agencies participating in the exercise. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
To ensure component commanders are accommodated and all arrested suspects well secured within the sector's control, an 8-bedroom transit accommodation and guard room have been inaugurated at Operation Delta Safe, headquarters Calabar. Commander Sector 4, Cordell Bende Amako, says this is in line with the vision of the Chief of Army Staff to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional role. Achibong Basi reports.
Mandated to protect oil and gas infrastructure, prevent militancy, sea piracy, crude oil theft, and other forms of criminalities, which could impact negatively on the nation's economy within Cross River and Akwa Ibom states to enhance efficient personnel welfare. This 8-bedroom transit accommodation for component commanders is erected with a fortified guard room to secure arrested suspects within the sector's control.
I'm also aware that other militant groups have taken over the creeks. Again, I'm posing serious threats to the abiding people of the state who ply the waterways.
The sector, during Operation Safe Conduct 2019, effectively rescued 8 INEC officials and 2 ad hoc staff from the Cameroon territory who got missing while trying to escape from militants on Bakassi waters. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
And that does it from Port Harcourt. Is back to Ifoma for the rest of the news. Good evening.
Thank you, Deepa Bari. Aloji community of Kogi State have made a passionate appeal to the federal government to come to their aid due to erosion which has cut off the area from other parts of the state. Jacob Sani visited the community and brought back this report.
The gully erosion, which started some years ago, according to investigation by NTA News, has cut off Aloji community, known to be one of the district headquarters in the local government area of Kogi State. The natural disaster has already separated only government institutions established some decades.
See all of our buildings falling because of this thing.
We have farm for this across this gutter here. We cannot enter our farm. All the food we planted for there has destroyed.
Our streams, the streams we fetch from within here are located along this side.
Equally affected the shortest link to their neighboring communities. The development, the people say, is beyond the local government and therefore call on the state government to act first to prevent the community not going into extinction.
This is the primary school that was established in 1949. This is where myself and others also started their primary school. But unfortunately, the primary school is now cut off from the rest community.
With the rainfall now at its peak, the people say their life is in danger.
We are begging on the federal government or the state government to come to our aid.
I want to call on the government at all levels, Kogi State government and the federal government, to come to the aid of the community.
Effort to reach the authorities saddled with the responsibility of controlling these menace proved abortive. From Aloji community in local government, Kogi State, Jacob Sani, NT News.
Residents of Makurdi, the Benue state capital, especially those at the bank of River Benue, are in apprehension as the volume of the water continues to rise. The State Commissioner for Water Resources and Environment, Dondo Ahire, who says the government is monitoring the development, affirms that the current level is close to that of 2012 that submerged many homes and farmlands.
Following the persistent downpour at the upper Benue, the volume of water at the river Benue has maintained a steady rise, well above the 10 meters, which is the burst level. At the moment, as the water continues to surge, it gives signals to people living close to the river Benue that disaster is in the offing. Magaji Loko, who carries out sand excavation business at the banks of the river, explains that the upsurge has not only hampered various activities, but it has become a threat to residents.
Ending of the August, because the water is there. Then they walk there, then they pursue, come small. Now they reach here. Water they call anytime, in the night, in the afternoon, in the morning.
The boats that you are seeing here at the moment are at the premises of the National Inland Waterways Authority, Area Office, Makurdi. The level of the River Benue at the moment is beginning to threaten the office, and that is why something needs to be done quickly to ensure that the office is not sacked. Commissioner for Water Resources and Environment, Dondo Ahire, who described the current level as alarming, calls on residents of various areas affected by the 2012 flooding to vacate immediately.
It's as high as the level we had in 2012. So it portends a lot of danger for residents who are living in flood-prone areas.
He further said that the situation would be worsened if water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon is released. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Let's now join Caleb in Jos for more stories.
Thank you, Ifoma, and welcome to Jos. Governor Simon Lalong has reiterated his desire to set up 2 additional skill acquisition schools to further boost talents in the state and to bring them to national and international spotlight. The governor stated this in an interview with NTA in Jos. Priscilla Grumnan reports.
Plateau State recently recorded 2 landmark achievements in education and science and technology, where 17-year-old Favor Marvel came overall best in the 2019 Senior Secondary Certificate of Education examination, and Yakubu Zhang winning in the Young Innovators Awards for his technological breakthrough. Governor Lalong said his administration places premium on education and promotion of young talent through setting viable machineries that will harness such talents and bring them to limelight.
Part of the motivation is what I have done, to add 2 additional schools, that is a skill acquisition. We had the Butex, which was doing very well, and abandoned. We're reorganizing it, and I've already built 2.
On the takeaways from the TCAT 7 conference he attended in Yokohama, Japan, the governor said Plateau State stands a better chance of gaining from the conference, as it will create enabling environment for ease of doing business in the state.
I have commissioned BCG, the Boston consultants, to develop a 5-year plan. We are no longer going to call Plateau a civil service state.
The governor expressed optimism that the state will return to its pride of place as an investor's hub within the shortest possible time. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talen, has called for more women participation in governance towards tackling challenges faced by women in the country. She said this during her visit to the wife of Plateau State Governor, Regina Lalong. Alice Sapotu Kai Andrew completes this report.
The minister's visit was to appreciate Plateau women for coming out en masse to vote during the 2019 general elections and the support accorded her during her past positions in government. She was also optimistic that women are channels for necessary change in governance. Mrs. Stalin promised to make her mark in changing the narrative of women, girl-child education, gender violence, as well as gender inclusion.
Women, God has given us the capacity to do a lot. We are blessed with so many gifts and begging us to use these gifts.
Wife of the Plateau State Governor, Regina Lalong, congratulated the minister on her new appointment, noting that women at all levels should keep aside their differences and join hands to build the broken bridges and move the nation forward.
We have confidence in you, and with your experience, we know that it will help in bringing a great progress to our dear state and our nation.
Wife of the Deputy Governor, Abigail Tioden, wife of the Speaker, Plateau State House of Assembly, wife of the Chief Judge, and APC women leaders were there to receive her. In Jos, Elizabeth Kai Andrew, NTA News.
That's it from Jos. Ifoma is back to you.
Thank you, Caleb. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the Secretary to the Federal Government, Mr. Boss Mustapha, as a hard-working and committed public official. In a goodwill message he sent to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to mark his 63rd birthday anniversary, the President commended the zeal at which Boss Mustapha discharges his duties for the progress of Nigeria. He also expressed satisfaction with his conduct as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, wishing him many happy returns. Some guests and analysts on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live have called for increased private sector participation in the next level policy agenda of the federal government, the emphasis was placed on utilizing such collaboration to improve activities in the implementation of government social intervention programs. Donyi Dia tells us more.
In achieving
the set targets and growing the nation's economy, there is a clear need to boost activities to grow the local economy. Guests on NTA Tuesday Live assert that government's huge spending in critical infrastructure becomes more meaningful only when it has direct bearing on the people. This, according to them, is where the private sector comes in.
But now that we're talking about the next 4 years, I can assure you that we want to be held to account for every promise or every projection that has been made on this platform.
The corruption is with impunity. The chief or the head is involved. So everybody is free for all. But now there is a stop to certain level.
You don't need to look at Abuja or even your state capital for redemption. Your redemption is nearest to you, your local government.
The consensus on these platforms sprang from the need for key private sector players to key into public policy actions with capacity to open opportunities for the expansion of small and medium enterprises in the country.
We are coming from an economy that historically are dependent on a single mono product, and it's vulnerable to whatever the temperament of the global market is. And to that extent, we must take time to start looking inward.
Every Nigerian citizen who is running a small-scale operation, a medium-scale enterprise, is going to be eligible to access up to 1 million naira in interest-free loans. I'm talking about hairdressers, car mechanics, plumbers, carpenters, tailors, farmers, market traders, everybody.
The move to take millions of Nigerians out of poverty may not be far-fetched if Nigerians join hands with the government to drive its vision. In Abuja, Doing, Dia, NTA News.
About 60,000 students and staff members of the Bayero University Kano will now have access to uninterrupted power supply from the university's 7.1 megawatt solar hybrid power plant, courtesy of the federal government. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo inaugurated the plant, making it the second of the 37 federal universities and 7 teaching hospitals marked for such projects by the federal government across the country under its Energizing Education program. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Exactly a month ago, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo inaugurated similar project in Alex Ekweme Federal University in Ebonyi State, promising that all the projects under the Energizing Education program would be completed in 4 years. The program, the Vice President says, is geared towards delivering on several critical policies and objectives of the Buhari administration in the next level agenda, stressing that it would also help to improve power supply across the country.
Our policies and objectives under the Energizing Education program in this administration's next level roadmap remains the same. The ultimate goal is to increase access to modern technical education in a safe and illuminated environment, to empower the girl child, to create jobs in the power sector, and of course, to enhance the entire power value chain. This remarkable off-grid solar hybrid power plant that we're commissioning today is already on its way to bringing these goals and objectives to fruition.
The inauguration also includes the launch of 11.41 kilometers of solar-powered street lights and a renewable energy training center.
The leveraging of renewable energy technologies is in line with the federal government's mandate and all of our related activities. Nigeria's plans to reduce carbon emission by 20% unconditionally and 45% with international support by 2030 aims to limit the damaging effects of climate change.
The Energizing Education program is being implemented by the Rural Electrification Agency.
Energizing education is energizing youth. Energizing youth is energizing the economy of Nigeria. And energizing the economy of Nigeria is de-energizing banditry, is de-energizing kidnapping, de-energizing cattle rustling, is de-energizing armed robbery, and is de-energizing tribal and religious conflicts in Nigeria.
The Rural Electrification Agency has described this as the largest solar hybrid plant in Africa, one that the Vice President describes as a milestone which not only the university community should be proud of, but all Nigerians. In Kano, Jide Unifade, NTA News.
Obehi in Benin has more reports on Nationwide.
Hello, Ifoma. Thanks for joining us in Benin. As part of its corporate social responsibility to its host communities, the 107 Air Maritime Group of the Nigerian Air Force in Benin has rendered a 2-day free medical outreach to indigents of Iriri community in Oedo local government area of Edo State. Judaweke reports.
Being one of the host communities to the 107 Air Maritime Group, Iriri community is said to have enjoyed a cordial civil-military relationship with the Nigerian Air Force since the establishment of the Air Force base in Oko. It is towards sustaining this relationship and ameliorating the health burden of the people that this free medical outreach brought to the community by the Nigerian Air Force became imperative.
The work we can do for this community, I certify very well.
I have to say thank you to the organizer of the program.
Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, represented at the ceremony, expressed the Nigerian Air Force readiness to sustain the initiative.
All this effort by Nigerian Air Force has endeared communities to freely and willingly provide useful intelligence.
It is my hope that this free medical outreach will further strengthen the existing cordial relationship between the Nigerian Air Force and the good people of Edo State in general.
About 15,000 indigents of the community are expected to benefit from the initiative. In Benin, Jude Aweke, NTA News.
Worried by the deplorable state of the Benin-Auchi Highway, the managing director of Ray Royal Construction Company, Bishop Matthew Bevelo, has carried out palliative work at the failed portions of the road to ease the suffering of motorists and commuters. Correspondent Rosemary Ibrahim has details.
Dangerous potholes has become a seasonal problem on Benin-Auchi Highway in recent times. Some motorists describe driving on the way as a tough task, especially when there are no alternative routes to Auchi or Abuja from Benin-Azix.
Look at our road, we are suffering. 2 days now, we have slept in this road for 2 days, just from here to here. About how many pools before we go out?
Worried by this development, the managing director of Ray Royal Construction Company, Bishop Matthew Okpewuru, deployed his resources to carry out repairs on some failed portions of the road.
We are using hardcore to fix the road so that it can be motorable. And Ray Royal is part of his yearly activities.
Some motorists and commuters who spoke to NTA News thanked Bishop Matthew Okpewuru for the palliative work.
More than 1 week. They are just in go-slow here. It is since about 5 days ago when these people started the work at the other side there, before the go-slow begin to be releasing. So we thank this very man that is doing this work.
It was end up being now. See motor, see every since yesterday, now motor not the pass here, but the man they try now.
They called on the contractors handling the dualization of the road to speed up work. In Eho, Rosemary Ibrahim, NTA News.
The challenge of managing pollutants and environmental degradation has been a growing concern. A chemical and environmental engineer with huge experience, Professor Kesentin Obayagbon, has revealed that a decisive way to reduce pollutants on the environment is for environmental protection agencies to raise their game. Anxiety about sustaining the integrity of the environment and protecting the resources of the planet is long-standing. As man struggles to offer protection, so has the parallel efforts to abuse the Earth's resources continued. Professor Obayagbon's revelation that chemical engineers, along with other professionals, are now involved in fighting degradation is a source of hope. He noted that several of the challenges in this area have reduced in severity following increased collaborative work between chemical engineers and other professionals. Professor Bayagmo emphasized that the environment is continually ravaged by man's exploitation of the resources of the planet, adding that chemical engineers have always led from the front in the campaign to protect the environment.
Urban planning is very, very essential. And then they don't just go bulldozing roads and clearing bushes. They must make sure these things are done according to plan.
Some respondents confirmed the professor's conclusions.
He's been able to research into ways in which we can make the environment safe.
Numerous diseases are coming out because of the way we have bastardized our environment. We need to start paying attention to our environment, so that's very critical.
Some of the worst excesses of environmental degradation may be about to receive a more vigorous response. And that's our contribution from Benin. It's back to Ifoma for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Obehi. Federal government says it is engaging relevant bodies to scale up enlightenment towards the eradication of open defecation in Nigeria by the year 2025. In line with this, Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu leveraged on a lecture at the University of Abuja to reiterate government's resolve. Musbaut Wahab reports that the theme of the lecture is tackling the open defecation problem in Nigeria, everyone's business. We, however, advise viewer discretion on the content of this report.
A seemingly naive girl guiding her younger ones through the process of open defecation at Kuruduma, a suburb of Abuja. Clearly ignorant of the health implications and its adverse effects on the environment. Unfortunately, this is a common practice across Nigeria. Current data from the 2018 WASH National Outcome Routine Survey shows that about 47 million people in Nigeria still practice open defecation. More disturbing is Nigeria's looming #1 world ranking in open defecation, even as a more populated country like India targets 100% open defecation-free society by October this year. This is a concern for the country, as Suleiman Adamu says federal ministries are on the verge of rolling out more programs and policies to encourage bathing and the use of toilets.
Government is one, we're all serving one purpose, the socio-economic development of the people. So if there is a program anchored by one ministry, it doesn't mean that the other ministries cannot key in. So all what we are trying to do is to strengthen that relationship so that we all move and speak with one voice.
Participants here, including the former Minister of Water Resources, Bono Sharif Musa, believe the task would be easier with Suleiman Adamu back to consolidate on the laid foundation. Musbau Wahab, NT News.
Sports is next after this break. Stay with us.
Digital studio equipment is a critical aspect of modern television that requires special skills for their operation and maintenance. These skills define the content and output of television and are acquired only through professional training and experience. NTA TV College JOS is organizing a special 4-week intensive course on digital studio equipment maintenance for engineers and technical officers in public and private television stations. The course will equip participants with modern techniques, technologies, and skills for effective and efficient operation and maintenance of digital studio equipment. Also, a special 4-week course on intermediate photojournalism and photography will run simultaneously. It is an essential course for photojournalists, photographers, public relations, and information officers to upscale their skills and capacities in photojournalism. Participants will be equipped with modern skills in photo editing, studio, and outdoor lighting, and more in just a few weeks. The venue for both courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. Date 16 September to 11th October 2019. Course fee 100,000 naira only per participant. Accommodation inclusive. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
The Tigers improve on performance at Basketball World Cup, as Amanzi Marcos reports on Sports Update.